The last 5 weeks, we have continued to cover whatever it is that's happening in the skies all over the world. Mysterious drones now being reported over parts of 50 states and in countries across the globe. And if you followed this story even just a little bit, you'll realize that what people are seeing and recording, this is not stuff that comes from this planet. And the complete silence on this topic from our government has only added fuel to the many theories that are now circulating right now on the internet. Dr. Stephen Greer is back with us. He's the founder of the Disclosure Project. Dr. Greer has been consistent with us for weeks that there is a disclosure coming before the presidential inauguration, which now leaves us with 10 days. Dr. Greer, it's great to have you back. This is where we are right now. A flight crew on a commercial airplane recorded this large orb in the skies while they were at 17,000 feet. And now people, we mentioned this a week ago, are reportedly getting sick all over the world from this granular, mysterious fog that's being seen all over the place. Right. Does this disclosure happen next week? And if it does, how does it happen? When it starts happening, how will we know?
Well, it'll be all over the news. It's good to see you again. I just heard about an hour ago from the, we call the NOC, he's non-official cover aerospace intelligence community, a senior operator from one of the key black sites, two black sites out in the western United States. And they are preparing to do this next week. I don't have an exact date. They intend to not only provide their testimony of operations, he's been there almost 30 years, but also the evidence and other details. Now, he's been involved in two things. One is the testing and the surveillance of the man-made UAPs that have been manufactured out of the Lockheed Skunk Works and Northrop Grumman complexes out in the high desert. Okay. The other is the targeting of non-human craft. Some would say extraterrestrial, some say alien. The words they're using now is NHI, non-human intelligence, and the downing of those objects. So he's been intimately involved. I've been at his facility, and that is on track. Now, keep in mind, so much of what is being seen now is sort of a decoy false flag operation, sort of trying to intercept what he's going to be doing and what we've been doing for some time.
But there's no way, Dr. Greer, we've talked about, there's no way all of this can be a false flag. It's all over the world now. It's being seen over cities in India, cities in South Korea. It's just the coordination that would be required to do something like that. I think it's beyond the scope, unless there is something going on that I'm completely unaware of, which of course is a possibility. 3 questions. These are just yes or no's. Are aliens already here? Yes or no?
Oh, sure. I mean, there have been non-human extraterrestrial civilizations that have been observing the planet for thousands of years, and it increased remarkably once we detonated the first atomic bomb. There's no question about that. In fact, this particular team coming forward have dealt with the remains and on occasion living non-human life forms that have been downed, and some are still in captivity in subterranean facilities or STIFs.
To me, Dr. Greer, feels like, and you answered my other question, it feels like right now the public worldwide is being primed for something. You know, for the last 50 years, we've had movies about aliens. Going back to Roswell, we've had reports of flying saucers. And now people, not just in northern New Jersey, are seeing strange things in the sky. It seems like these beings are technologically far superior than we are. And they're doing this with incredible patience, priming a worldwide audience for something else. Do you agree with that? And then what are they priming us for?
Well, it's very complex, but the bottom line is they've been waiting for humans to acknowledge their presence so that they don't have to force into it, which could look aggressive, because they're not aggressive, obviously.
Force into it like land in Times Square, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to do something like that. They're going to do a sort of an acculturation and desensitization operation.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Which means it's gradual.
Okay.
And it has been over the decades. Now, the big problem here are rogue military-industrial complex operations that have reverse engineered these extremely advanced technologies and can use them in staged event. And this is where everyone, when I say everyone, I mean everyone from the generals that I have briefed at the Pentagon to director of the CIA, past, not incoming, And that is that they greatly underestimate what has been developed. I mean, Ben Rich, before he died, who was head of Lockheed Skunk Works, said, anything you can imagine, as you've seen on Star Trek, we've already figured out, and it's out there in the desert. He says, not Area 51.
Okay.
Talking about
how far ahead of us? And the last time you were on, you said there are multiple different alien societies from different planets visiting us.
Right.
How far ahead of us are they?
At least 60 to 70 that have been documented.
60 to 70
that I know about. Yes.
And how far? Where are they technologically? 1,000 years ahead? 1,000,000 years ahead?
They'd be in the many thousands to millions of years more advanced, and they're.
Go digital and get paid up to 4 times faster with QuickBooks Payments on the QuickBooks mobile app. Create instant.
There are different civilizations at different development, both socially, spiritually, and technologically. None of them are hostile, obviously. With the kind of technology they have, they would have, as Congressman Burchett once said, it would be a charcoal briquette floating through space if they were overtly hostile. But they appear to be very concerned with our own hostility and the development of very powerful weapons.
If they landed, Dr. Greer, could they communicate with us?
I'm sure they can. I mean, I don't know how that would exactly take place. It may be some strange. I mean, remember, one of the things that Elon Musk is working on at Neuralink is an interface between thought and machine.
Right, right.
Now, I will tell you, this is a big secret that's going to come out very quickly with this team, because they've dealt with this, is that there is a direct interface between technology and consciousness and thought that's been developed by these advanced civilizations. This is not Ma Bell we're talking about here in terms of communication. So it's that's just a prelude. We don't have time to unpack that, but I know about that in a very specialized fashion.
Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon, Sea of Tranquility, 1969, Apollo 11. Over the decades, he hinted at several things. One, that aliens are living right now in bases on Antarctica and under the ocean. His words, not mine. The second, that the moon landing in 1969 never actually happened. The third, and most interesting, I think, is that on the dark side of the moon doesn't spin like the Earth. When they orbited in Apollo 11, they photographed and saw with their own eyes structures that clearly were built by somebody. Can you confirm or deny any of that?
I can absolutely confirm we did go to the moon, but when we went, we weren't alone, and that was known prior to the 1969 moon landing, and I'll tell you why. If you go to our Disclosure Project Intelligence Archive, dpiarchive.com, you will see, and it's free to go there, you'll see the testimony of Carl Wolf, who in 1968 was at a National Security Agency relay station at Langley Air Force Base.
Carl Wolf was killed, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was killed. I mean, we've had a lot of losses.
He was run over by a truck or something like that, mysteriously?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Greer, we're just very tight on time. I have one. Go ahead.
I was mysteriously almost killed about 14 months ago. But my point is that these, when they did the lunar orbiter, where they were mapping, where they were going to planning to land, there were these structures that were seen, and he came forward with that 25 years ago at the first Disclosure Project press conference in May of 2001. So we've known about this for some time, and he actually saw the images, the early digital photographs, and what have you of those structures. So
we know
that there's, and this is all going to eventually come out.
Let me just ask you, we're so tight on time, Dr. Greer. The Las Vegas suicide bomber. So he wrote this manifesto that they're trying to suppress, like they do with everything else. But it sort of ebbs into this world. Is there any connection just between what is going to happen next week and what we saw in Las Vegas on New Year's Day?
Correct. There is. And again, that was sort of a psychological warfare operation by someone in Special Forces giving a heads up on this. It's not a coincidence it happened at the Trump building and that it was in a cybertruck. He refers to gravitic propulsion systems. And that's what's going to be coming out, because we have mastered gravity control for decades. And this is why many of the craft people see that they think is alien.
And he wrote about that in the manifesto. Just a final question.
He did.
Following whatever happens next week, if it does happen, does Donald Trump need to appoint somebody like yourself as an alien czar or a UAP czar?
Well, this has been suggested. We'll see. I mean, of course, the president, you serve at his pleasure. As it is, I've been an unofficial advisor for many administrations on this. And now that this is going to be coming to a head, we'll see if he wants someone to do that. If I would certainly consider it if I was asked, but that has not happened.
Dr. Greer, I'm interested to see what's really going on out there. We've got 10 days before the inauguration.
Well, as soon as this drops and we get this from this team, we'll send it over to you.
All right. Dr. Stephen Greer, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.